Alright, so I picked up this projector for next to nothing, and it's sitting here in my hallway because one, it's super short throw, so it's got a huge image anyways, and then two, of course, it has some issues. The color looks great. It is a dichroic glass color wheel DLP projector, but the DMD, the chip itself that makes the DLP work, is failing. And you can tell it's failing because we have all these little white spots. All these little white spots are mirrors that have failed. They're probably collections of mirrors given the pixel density. So what I need to do is pull this apart. This is a BENQ or BENQ or whatever you want to call it. ST or MP776ST, if I remember that off the top of my head correctly. Nice and bright, but obviously some issues, so we're going to have to fix this. I couldn't find any videos on how to pull these things apart, so I did already fix one of them because I got two of them at the same time. And what I will do is I'll pull this one apart and explain to you at least how I did it. There's still a little bit of a mystery for me. I have no idea how to get the light engine all the way out, but at least I can get in there deep enough without damaging anything to pull the DMD, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. Okay, what you're going to need to do this projector job is you're going to need some thermal paste. The new DMDs do come with the thermal pad, but they kind of suck. You're going to need a Phillips number one, and that's to take care of the really tiny screws. This one's kind of ridiculously long, but it's what I got. I can't find my other screwdriver set at the moment. I'm going to need a Phillips number 3, I believe is what this is. You're going to need a new DMD that matches your existing projector. And it's always nice to have one of these guys, which is, I think this is a little 5mm, maybe 4 or 5mm, either one will work, for the little standoffs and stuff on the back. Just kind of helps things move along a little faster. And this is just a small ESD silicon mat. Probably not necessary, but it's something nice to set the projector on so it doesn't get all scratched up. So here's our projector. As I said, you saw the problem earlier. We'll take care of that. Make it a lot easier to deal with. This one's a little dirty. It's not too bad. From what I understand, heat kills these things pretty quick. This is an older one. I think I paid $60 for this, if even that. So what we're going to do to start is flip it over with that little foot down. We're going to take these screws off first, as they have to come off. These guys are just your regular plastic cheapo screws. Actually, that one wasn't very tight. If anybody's been in this before. I'll know in a second. All right, once those come off, flip it back over. And the next ones you need to take out are these guys on each side, and those are the screws to access the lamp assembly. And these guys are little tiny machine screws. And there are a couple more of these that hold the light engine on inside. Okay, next thing we need to do is take this cover off. It's stuck on from, if I remember correctly, you push it forward. It will start to work its way off. Come on, there we go. There we go. All right. This guy just comes right off of there. As you can see, those are where the machine screws set in, and it's got some clips around it which kind of hold it all in place. All right, set that aside. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the lamp. And so we're going to unplug this guy so it's still a little warm. And then we're going to undo the lamp screw. These are not captured screws like on a lot of DLP systems. And just, be careful with the lamp. They're expensive. It's still hot. I'll set it over here. All right, and once the lamp is out, then we need to take this guy, and that guy out. And that will allow us to access the inside of the projector. All right, these are just little machine screws, silver ones. Because we've taken the ones off from the bottom already, this top should just kind of work its way free. There we go. Just kind of work on it. Again, these pegs go all the way down into the assembly. That's what the plastic screws that we took out earlier from the bottom go into. Here's your keypad. Again, more pegs, and then just a couple little plastic clips around the perimeter that kind of snap it all together. All right. Now that we're in, what I like to do is, I guess you need a marker too. I like to mark the ones that can be inserted right away. So it's this one, that one, that one, this one, and that one. Okay, and once we have those, we know where we're going to go next, but we're not going to do those right now. What we're going to work on next is getting all of those screws out. So you have a machine screw right here, which holds the HDMI port in. Actually holds the entire board in. All right. Then you have a plastic screw right here. And this plastic screw, again, holds the board in place. Then you have just a ton of these things there. These little stamps. Once those are off, this entire back plane assembly will come out without too much trouble. And for the autofocus, it's shut off a little bit. It's a little projector, other than, of course, the DMD problem. But when I take a page, about as much for the DMD as I take for the projector itself. So, last one. All right, they're all of the screws have been removed. And so now I should be able to pull this entire back piece off. And yep, there it goes, just like that. Okay, now that I've done that, I can see the two circuit boards. So you've got, you've got an upper circuit board and then a lower circuit board right here, which is a power supply board. And then below that, you've got the high voltage power supply board. All of that has to come out so that we can access the back of the light engine and pull out the DMD. Okay, so back to our screws on top. We'll take the ones that we marked out. Again, these are those little silver machine screws. All right, I think that's all of them. Oh, forgot that one. Pay attention to how the wires are run, because you want to try to get everything back as close to how you found it as possible. We don't want any bunched up wires in here or excess wire. It all affects airflow, and heat is what kills these DMDs. So please think about that as you're kind of taking it apart, where the wires actually are. As you can see on this one has not been messed with. Okay, let's pull this guy up. There are little clips on this side. They're just barely in there. You can see them right there. All right, so that's now off of there. We'll set that aside. And now we have access to the entire circuit board assembly. First thing we're going to do is disconnect the fan. So what we have here is we have the, let's see, I believe that's the safety switch right there. Or is it, let's see. Yeah, I think that's the safety switch. So we'll pull that off of there. It's just, kind of a friction fit. Okay. These are the two fans right here. This guy's a little tougher to get out of there. So, I like to, if you can get a hold of it, let's see if we can pull it out of there. There we go. All right, and keep in mind that they're all kind of bundled there. All right, pull the safety switch, pull this guy. This is the thermocouple, I believe, for the light, the lamp temperature. And then off of there. There we go. Okay, I got those. The next one is the color wheel power control wire, or I guess control wire. All right. Keep in mind the blue goes towards the light engine, so you'll see these little marks on top. That's a QA check to make sure that everything is in there. This is color wheel power, I believe, or actually this maybe a reluctor sensor on the color wheel, unless there's a fan in there, but I suspect that's probably reluctor, so that like a Hall effects, so that it understands where it's at in space. This is another fan connector right here. All right. This is the speaker port right here. And then this is the front infrared receiver port. Okay. And then in the back, this is the power supply control wire, I believe. Okay. Now that those are all off, what we can do is start to pull this up. I'm going to sit down here so I can get a good hold of this. So you're going to want to, so there's a large, almost like a PCI Express connector underneath this, and that connects into the light engine. And then over on this side right here, we have a board-to-board connector, which is just, like jumper pins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and pull that board-to-board connector off there first, and kind of lift and make sure your HDMI port is out of the way, this little metal shield that's there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is get over here, just with my fingernails a little bit, and see if I can start to kind of wiggle this thing up, because I don't want to strain this board at all. Okay, so make sure that's all off of there. All right, there's our board. There's the connector that I was talking about. There's the other connector that I was talking about. So that connector is right there. That connector is right there. When you go to stick this back together again, you want to look in there and make sure that this is lined up correctly with that, because you don't want to bend any of those pins over. It's going to cause you all sorts of trouble if you do. But here is our DLP control board. As you can tell, beautiful DLP chip on the back. All right, we'll check this one aside. So we'll move down a layer. So now that we're down here, we can see that we have more screws. So these are plastic screws, and we have a screw here and here and here. And then we have another screw that is for the ground strap right here. And that's all that's for, just the ground strap, but we'll mark it anyways. So let's get started. I'm going to, oh, and actually, sorry, I forgot the last one. There's a screw right there. It's kind of buried under those wires. All right. So move those out of the way. Don't want to damage those at all. Okay. All right. I'll start with this guy right here, right next to the thermocouple. It's down in there. So you can kind of make it out down there. Let's see if you can see it right there. So get this guy out of there. These are in there a little tight. Again, they're just into the plastic body itself. If you lose one down underneath, no worries. You're going to be down there anyway. But magnetic screwdriver can also solve your problems pretty quick. Set that over there. Right. All right, and the last one is the ground strap. And actually, there's one more that I neglected to mention. This guy right here, this little strain relief, that needs to come off as well. So I'm going to take this ground strap off right there, and then I'll just put the screw right back in where I got it. And then the same thing right here. And again, just move that out of the way. That's the blower fan for the primary fan for the lamp. This is an exhaust fan to pull the hot air out. The lamp itself has its own small blower fan. All right, so let's see if I got all those out of there. Did I miss any? Oh, I did miss one. All right, last one right there. So again, let's pull this ground strap out of the way. So all of the things on this that need to come off is the screw here, the screw here, the screw here. That needs to come off and get put back on there. The screw that's down in there, right? And then the ground strap right there. And then this guy right here. And that's everything that holds this particular circuit board down. I shouldn't say circuit board, but circuit board mount, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's see. This whole thing just comes straight up. Be careful as you're pulling it up. You don't want to hang on anything. All right, there we go. There's our upper circuit board assembly piece thingy. Okay, here's the fan that I was talking about. This is the primary power supply. And this should just come right out at this point. But before we do, we need to disconnect the power right there. And that is I believe that's the power for the cutoff, the emergency cutoff switch right there. And let's see, what else do we need to do? We need to disconnect the high voltage power supply connection. Note how it comes through on this side right here. All right. And after that, we also need to take the thermocouple connection off. Okay, that should free up this board. Come right out of here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, there's our primary power supply board out of there. Oops, flipped it upside down. I want to see a naked transformer. All right, set that over there. And next underneath, we have our high voltage power supply board. This also needs to come out. Okay, this is just a little plastic insulator to prevent connectivity between the two. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is disconnect the lamp control wire, which is right here. That's the primary high voltage to the lamp. I'll set that aside. And then you have two screws, those little silver machine screws. One there, one there. So we'll pull those off of there. Okay, there's one. There's two. And now the high voltage board should come out. Right there. There we go. Okay. Now, this is where things get a little difficult. I have not been able to figure out how they've got this light engine mounted in there. They have these two right here. Then they have these two there and there, right there, as well as this one right there. I do not know where the last screw is, and I could not get it out. But if you loosen these two, that one, and that one, and take these two off of there, you'll be able to kind of shift the whole, flex the whole light engine far enough forward that you can get a screwdriver down underneath here to get this fan out. Because it's a major pain in the butt. It's kind of got to flex it. I don't know why they designed it like this, but that's how they did it. There may be some trick to get this light engine out without having, possibly if you take the color wheel assembly off, there's a screw that holds it in that way. I don't know. I didn't want to disassemble it that far to replace the DMD. And the end result of my lack of desire to disassemble it that far is I'll just kind of bend the plastic a little bit and then go from there. So first thing we're going to do is use our comically long Phillips #1 screwdriver, and we're going to loosen this guy right here, and then we'll loosen this guy right here. Again, they don't need to come all the way off. And then we'll loosen this guy right here, and that should give us enough room to kind of move stuff around. Next thing we're going to do is take these two off. Again, little silver machine screws. Use a lot of these in here. Oops. Let's find that one. Don't leave any screws in here. You lose them, you gotta get them out of there. Okay, so this will now come off. Set that aside, and this whole assembly, see how loose it is? Okay. All right, so it's kind of hard to see, but there is room to get a screwdriver down in there between the heatsink and the fan. Okay, there's that one. We'll do this guy. Okay. Another one of those plastic screws, like the ones on the outside of the case. there we go. Like I said, just a little bit of bendy, and you're able to get in there. If this fan is real dirty on yours, it's a good idea to kind of blow all this stuff out. This projector is pretty clean, obviously. But it did probably, it was a projector that was used by Lighting Visuals, a rental company, so very likely this thing just got run all the time. Okay, now that we're down this far, we can see the heatsink for the DMD. This is what we're ultimately after. We took all that other stuff out of there just to get to this. So what we're going to do is we'll start at the bottom. We'll loosen this guy here, and then we'll loosen this guy here up across from it. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing here. Kind of loosen all these guys up. Chances are this thing is just gonna come right apart. Yours may be a little stuck on there. It is just like a CPU cooler for the DMD, and it's really not the best design for a cooler, but it seems to work okay enough. It reminds me of kind of servers of the era. Okay, all right. Let's see. I think I got it all off of there. All right, here comes our DMD. There's our heatsink. Here's our DMD board. Next thing we need to do is unclick this guy. So for now, we'll take this, and the rest of the light engine can just stay in there. We'll set this aside. Okay. And let's undo this. I've got a whole set of really nice screwdrivers somewhere, but I'm not quite sure, but this will work. All right, anyways, I'm going to loosen the DMD. The entire DMD assembly comes out, and I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if... see on the edge there? Looks like that little foggy area right there. Do you see that? Right there. You can actually see the pixel damage that's on this DMD. All those little sparkles on there that's not dust. That is pixel damage. So obviously this one is no good. It does still kind of function, but we'll just replace it with a new one. As you can see the heat compound on the back. So we'll set this one aside. And then we have our focus. We have our heatsink right here. Let me grab a paper towel and some isopropyl alcohol real quick. So if you've never removed this stuff before, a little IPA works pretty good. Takes it right off of there. And we just want to get all of it off of there. We don't want any of that stuff left over. We want to put our nice good stuff on there. And if you really want to go out, you can sand that down on something flat so that you get a nice surface. But it's pretty good. Pretty good enough. So, okay. Next thing we need is our replacement DMD, which is right here. And the seller, for some reason, decided to put a staple in there. That's, who knows? Hopefully this one works. They claim to be new, but pulled, so probably they just came out of working units. They probably do have some hours on them. Your mileage may vary. And, obviously get a big old fingerprint on there. So let me clean that off real quick. All right, you want to make sure this is as clean as you can possibly get it, because that will affect the clarity of your device. And you can see on this one, see no little like foggy areas anywhere. This one looks like it's got good chips, good pixels all the way through it. So next thing we're going to do is match this up. So we can see this is pen 1 right here. match it up right there. We'll put it in this zip socket. Make sure it's down all the way. And then from there, we will tighten it back down again. There we go. It is now back in the socket. Okay. And we're going to coat this guy. Actually, we'll coat this guy with our thermal compound. And I like to use a little spudger. You know, I know they say a little bit does you. In this case, there's a lot of variation here. It's not the best heatsink in the world. Get good thermal compound on there and then really spread it around so that when you clamp this sucker down, it's got all the chance in the world of getting the best possible contact. So we'll use my spudger. Just kind of spread it around. I get this as even as possible across there. So we have full coverage. Again, heat kills these DMDs. That's what wipes these things out. They're basically MEMS devices. The you know, the mechanical nature of the mirrors. It's all like silicon joints, and the more heat, the more thermal cycle, the worse things get. Okay, that's pretty good. So it's totally covered our little block there. So next thing we're going to do is set this guy back on there. Remember, this is the top. And so this will all go back together. That's the top right there. So this will all go back together like this and just squish together. But let me grab the unit itself so that I can get that back in there before we do anything else. So we're done with that. And by the way, these DMDs usually do come with this little thermal compound pad. It's, you know, you're welcome to use it, but I prefer using high grade CPU thermal compound, as it seems to work a lot better. All right, here we go. Grab our little screws. These are little spring-loaded compression screws, and as you can see, here's our light engine. Looks pretty good, nice and clean. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is set our DMD processor board back into position. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to bring our heatsink back in there. This is definitely a two-handed operation, possibly three. If you're one of the lucky individuals with three hands, then definitely envious. Okay. Now we're going to make sure that our heatsink shmoo goes right where it needs to. And then get that on there. Okay. Here comes the hard part. Let's see if we can get that in there. Ugh. Need more magnification or magnetization on my screwdriver there. Let's do our ridiculously long one. Okay, let's get that on there. All right. That on there. All right. And then this guy here. Make sure this is seated nice and square. Looks like it is. All right, and then start tightening these guys down. Just kind of get them snug, and then we'll tighten them a little bit. You can't over tighten them from the standpoint of pressure. That is controlled by the spring rate, the springs that are on there, but you can strip them out. So you don't want to go all gorilla mode on this thing and destroy this stuff. So just get a good tightening. You can kind of see the whole light engine move there a little bit, which is fine. Okay, these guys to rattle off. All right, so our DMD has now been replaced, and what we need to do now is start reassembling. So first thing that needs to go back in is our lamp cooling fan, and this is major pain in the butt to get in there. Comically long screwdriver that's super thin does tend to help, but it's not easy just getting that screw to line up. This light engine could be removed all the way, and maybe on this one it will come all the way out, but like I said, I've had issues on the other one that it worked on. It just would not come out. Like there was another screw hiding somewhere, and I checked under the labels and stuff, and because there is a label directly underneath it, but there was just nothing to indicate that there was a screw there at all. So we'll just do it this way. Seems to work all right. Just kind of push all this stuff back in there. Get another one of our little wood plastic screws there. The front of the fan back in. Okay. Remember, this is goes up to the top control board, so we'll move that out of the way. Next thing that goes in here is the high voltage power supply. All right. Once the high voltage power supply is back in, it uses 2 of these little silver machine screws. All right. Be sure to reroute these wires. So this guy just goes right on the back side there. This guy goes through there and then along the back of the case. Okay. Again, we don't want these things flopping around. Here's our lamp connector, high voltage lamp connector. Okay, make sure these are all out of the way. Next thing we're going to do is bring our cover back in. And this just kind of slides right in there. You got all your wires routed correctly. Alright, once up there, make sure everything is nice and in place. You don't want any loose anything in here. You want this thing to be well protected. Okay, Next thing that's going to happen is we are going to bring in our primary power supply. All right. And this primary power supply just kind of sits on these little plastic standoffs. There's 4 of them. It's not going in there. That is the emergency cutoff switch. All right, reconnect the emergency cutoff switch there. And right here is our primary power supply, right kind of behind the capacitor. Primary to secondary power supply. Primary to high voltage power supply. Okay, that's on there. There, okay. All right, now that we've got the primary power supply back in, don't forget to connect the thermocouple wire back to the power supply board. Okay, that's all in place. Next, we can put our board tray back in. Make sure all your little wires are out of the way and they're all routed where they need to go. Otherwise you'll be taking all this out again. Should just slip right down into place. Not too much in the way of a hassle. Everything is connected back in. There's a couple little resistors here. Make sure that they're not touching the PCB board tray, the main board tray. You don't want it to ground out on those resistors by accident. Put all of our screws back in. There's one. There's 2. There's 3. Man. I am missing a wire. That's why I was saying these stupid wires want to go everywhere. So let's make sure they're all out. Here's number 4. All right, put the strain relief on the fan. And then put the ground strap back on. All right, now let's get our circuit board back into place. Again, you're just going to want to make sure that this is lined up with there and that is lined up with there. I like to start on this side and then work that side in. So if you look straight down on it, you can see over here the holes will line up. And on this side, make sure you get all these little stupid little wires out of the way that want to be underneath the circuit board and really want to be pinched. Okay, push that down, push that down. All right, circuit board's back into place. Next, let us hook up our connections. There we go, there's one. 2. 3, 4, 5, 'Make sure that this one, blue, is always pointed towards the light engine. 6. Okay. We can 7. 8. Cooling fans. 8. And 9. All right, everything is back connected. We can now put our shield back over the top here. Work it past all the little components. Make sure it slides down into place. There we go. So our shield's back in place. Put our machine screws back in and around the shield perimeter. One. 2. We're just on the black ones. 3. 4. And finally this guy, number 5. With that, we can clip our wire back into place there. All right, everything is snugged back down. I'm going to reinstall our lamp. Actually, yeah, you know what? We'll wait. Okay. Next thing that goes on is the rear panel. This just kind of clicks into place. All right, and then we want our rear panel screws back on. So we'll start with our plastic screw. This guy, and that goes right into here. Make sure you cross thread it. That way you know it's in there tight. Okay, and now our machine screw, the countersunk machine screw. It's technically pedantic Fridays. That goes in here, and you want to make sure you cross thread this one too. Then try to strip it out. Okay, that's in there, and then I'm going to go and put all of these on. It's going to take me a second. Tighten all those down. Honestly, I probably never, ever use any of these. Unless I guess I do like a retro PC kind of setup. Bought this thing so that I could do movies in my backyard, like a movie night. Actually, I have two of them. They both work now. Okay. All right, got all those screwed on there. Next thing we're going to do is put the top back on. Again, these little pins register with the pins inside, so try to just go kind of straight down on it. Make sure our case is all put together nicely. Obviously, we've got. There we go. Now that happened. It happened. Right, I'm going to put that back down on there. This thing will just kind of click together. All right. Now we'll do the remainder of our machine screws. Got one here. Got one here. And one here. Next thing we can do is get the lamp out. Put this guy over. Put our plastic screws in. You know, one there. One there. One there. One there. And one there. Screw those down tight. Alright, and we're just down to those two. So this whole thing, just have these two screws there. Just hold the cover on. Of course, the screw for the lamp. So we'll drop the lamp in there. Make sure it okay, got that lamp on there. Tightish. Click that thing down. Plug in our lamp power supply. Put the plastic back over it. This probably just helps it with, I have no idea actually. Alright, and we'll set this guy back on there. Goes on like so. Clicks into place. And then we've got our 2 little baby screws. There's one side. Here's the other. And little squeezes here and there, make sure everything is nice and anchored down. There we go. The only thing that we have left is our damaged DMD. And as we can see, no more damaged DMD. Looks really good. Hope this helps somebody else.